The hiring process is different every time for every hire. Do you hire based on experience or personality or hotness? I guess it depends on who you ask. We'll talk about it next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. That look on CY's face says it all. It's like, I know something that you don't. And CY usually does. He does his homework, and he enters situations like this very prepared. As we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios, it's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. We're probably more along the lines of experience and personality, but we learned as we were looking at pictures of candidates, Cat wouldn't mind looking at Skip Schumacher for 162 games a year. So, okay, the Queen's a big part of the program, so we may have to relay that information to CY, Jeff.
I'll text him right now.
Yeah, let's get it going. We know CY, has only said that Skip Schumacher, who's been in the organization for basically a year, is a candidate. But we know he's the favorite, and it'll be interesting to see. We're going to have an opportunity to talk with CY tomorrow. Is there even a list, right? Is he even going to interview other candidates?
Well, I think you got to have a list, because
just in case
you have to kind of ponder. Well, what if Skip Schumacher doesn't want the job?
Sure.
Maybe he spent a year here and it was a disaster. It was a disastrous year that fell short of expectations. Maybe he's like, holy crap, I don't want any part of this. Now, I doubt it.
Right.
I think he probably is very interested in it. I think, if we want to read into his thoughts last offseason when he took the job as a senior advisor at baseball operations, like, well, why would he take this job? Well, to stay in the game, maybe to learn a different side of it, okay. But he knew Bruce Bochy was in the last year of his contract.
Yep.
70 years old, and potential opening here.
Sure.
So there's that. But there are 7 other jobs right now that are open. There are, or I guess 5 official openings and 2 that have interim managers. But let's say there's 8 total jobs, 7 others. What if the Yankees lose tonight? Is Aaron Boone going to get fired?
Sure.
I'm sure there'd be some angry people in New York. So maybe another job comes open. I don't know, but there's competition. There are only 30 of these jobs, and if you want one bad enough, maybe you would go to the Rockies. But if you think you're in a position where you can, kind of call your shots, then maybe Skip Schumacher is playing that game. Leverage and get some money out of it, and see what they have in Baltimore, see what they have in Atlanta. Those are 2 pretty primo jobs, I would suspect. So I think you have to have a list. You can't just have a one-person list.
Right. No.
And I think last time Chris Young had a one-person list. I know he interviewed Tony Beasley, but I think it was Bruce Bochy or bust. And then, if that failed, then they could fall back on somebody else. But I bet there are a list of names out there that Chris Young has. They're not out there. Believe me, they're not out there.
No.
But I'm sure he has a list.
There's no doubt, and that's the point. CY has proven, in free agent signings, we know it because we heard it from Kyle Higashioka last year. Basically, the moment that the free agency period began, Kyle got a call from CY and said, we're interested. And it really made him feel good. It really made him feel wanted. But the news there is that CY is never unprepared.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's not now either.
No, and like the Jacob deGrom thing in 22 was early. It was pre-winter meetings, and the Rangers have they, even with John Daniels, they would strike early in the off season before the winter meetings. Somebody who they had targeted, like Kyle Gibson or Mike Minor. Lance Lynn was at the winter meetings, but it was pretty much done before it was announced. But so it's kind of a thing with the Rangers, and it's smart. I mean, you're getting out there, you're getting your guy, you're setting you're beating the market, maybe setting the market, and it takes care of some stuff you don't have to worry about. Like catcher's a big deal.
Yes, yeah,
and the Rangers clearly thought that adding Kyle Higashioka would help Jonah Heim. I don't know that it did, but they got a pretty good player out of it in Higashioka.
Absolutely right. And look, he's going to be, because we believe that one of the moves this season will be either to hopefully not non-tender, but possibly to try and trade Jonah Heim, who will likely move on after this season from the Rangers. So it's Kyle Higashioka and whoever else they find for next year.
Yeah.
Because there's really nobody in the system that's ready to, to ascend to that role.
Yeah, not yet. The catching depth was at such a point that they signed Omar Narvaez there late in the year, sent him to AAA. Maybe, I don't want to say with the promise of playing time, but like, hey, Kyle Higashioka is banged up. We might need you. So there will be some guys brought in like that, but then also they're going to go for more of a sure thing, I would think. And you can look at the free agent list. I mean, they're not going to sign JT Realmuto, I don't think.
No.
But there are some guys out there who would be very serviceable backups, or even carry a heavier load than the normal backup. But I think that 90 might be a good number for Kyle, which means you got to get 70 out of the backup or the number 2 catcher. But you never know what happens with injuries and things like that. So and trades, you never know what happens with trades. So you have your free agent lists, but you never know what teams are going to be motivated to trade what players. Is there a catcher that is about to go into a walk year and they don't think they're going to get anything for him? Is it a team that's rebuilding but has this real good catcher who would fit a pretty nice role for you? So that's why they have scouts, and that's part of the scouts conversations and things like that, and all the research that they do.
And of course, that fits. First of all, it happened in a way with the Rangers when they got Mitch Garver. Right? Like everybody trading a good catcher. That's a good catcher with a good stick. That was surprising, right?
Yeah.
And again, right now, the Orioles find themselves in a situation where, one of their best young players is probably out because they now have a younger catcher who they think is better.
Yeah, and I would at least kick the tires on Adley Rutschman for sure. I think that the Orioles can find a place for both Rutschman and Basillo, but it was the other guy who got the contract extension before Adley Rutschman did, and Rutschman had a bad season this year. He was kind of he was banged up at times, so there's I'm telling you, there are guys out there. The Rangers are going to find a catcher. I wouldn't, but I just don't see how Jonah Heim is back for another.
No, it would be surprising. And since we're talking catchers, I like Mike, not Maddox there. Good name. And he kind of wishes Jose Trevino would come back. Of course, his season with the Reds just ended last night. But he is beloved here, understandably. And who knows? I mean, again, let's see what happens in the offseason. He didn't leave here on any sort of bad terms, that's for sure.
Right. I enjoy the off season because you get to see how a team gets built and everything, but it's the uncertainty and that drives us crazy. what are they gonna do? And gosh, I remember the Garver trade. There was no off season that year because it was the lockout. So all
That's
these moves
right.
were happening really, really fast. And they get Garver. I believe we were in Arizona when it happened, and then they signed like Martin Perez that year too. But you just never know what a team's going to do.
No.
Now I think it didn't. I thought Trevino got locked up.
Did he?
I
He
not
got
like,
traded.
Not like a huge deal.
I mean, did the Reds lock him, or
I
maybe
thought
they
they might
did.
have, or maybe I'm just making
Maybe
that
they,
up. I
or
saw
maybe
a
that,
rumor or something. But
perhaps.
anyway, Jose Cervino's great. He would be a fun guy to have back here for sure. He's great defensively. Knows how to work with a pitching staff. He's now a veteran.
Yeah.
Still offensively challenged, but most catchers are. If we're being honest, there's Cal Raleigh and Salvador Perez, and
Yeah.
Real Muto's declining a little bit. Lane
Yeah.
Deliriers is looking like he's a good offensive player, but I mean that's 30 teams. They don't all have that guy.
No.
So
No. And Rarities asked earlier, are there any rules preventing announcing a manager during the playoffs? No.
you just have to do it on off days.
Yeah.
That's basically the situation here. And the Rangers and Chris Young, who worked for Major League Baseball, is very sensitive to the commissioner's desires to not interfere with the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so that's why tomorrow will be the season-ending press conference that normally takes place a couple days after the season. But Chris Young is not going to be the one who diverts attention away from what's happening on the field, and that's probably why you saw so many guys dismissed. Might be why you saw on Monday, and why Bruce Bochy thing happened on Monday.
Maybe
just to kind of get it out of the way.
Yep, definitely a possibility, and as such, there's a lot more in that CY press conference tomorrow than just the story of and the answers to questions about the managerial search, right? It's the whole season. It's a wrap up of everything that we will be discussing with CY tomorrow, and probably Ross too.
Yeah, I would assume Ross will be there, and Ross. Part of the Rangers offseason needs to be restocking the farm system, and so Ross is always good for that information as well. But Ross speaks to players very well, and so we will ask them both questions tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes poor Ross, he just sits there and nobody asks him questions. But I'll always make an effort, Jeff, too. And really, he's the general manager, right? So there is a lot, and heck, I just like talking to the guy. I like him,
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's smart. He has a lot of interest beyond baseball. He's also likes to collect baseball cards. So
that's cool. I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, that's what it is. Many of these people, CY not included, but many of them are the baseball nerds, right? That gravitate toward that field, and then their nerddom becomes a strength, Jeff, right? All that knowledge that they kept in their head when they weren't remembering history or mathematics, by God, pays off when they get a job in the front office of a baseball team.
Yeah, and and a lot of these guys could go do something else.
100%.
Yeah, like when we had Thad Levine on, he's doing a podcast now, and all about Sports Zone. I saw, and Thad's the front runner for the Rockies GM job. But Thad could do anything.
Yeah,
he's
smart. Brilliant.
Yeah, he could become a financial.
Yeah,
he probably is.
I saw JD at Do It for Dirt, which was the day after we had spoken with Thad, and I said, "Man, the one thing we kind of forgot about was how great his usage of the language is. I mean, no verbal pauses, nothing." And JD said, we used to sit there and had to have a thesaurus next to us when we were talking to Thad. Said he's just so smart. And by the way, he did tell me that day that the Colorado job of all those that, they all know which ones are possible.
Yeah.
And of all those that were possible at the time, Colorado would have been Thad's favorite. So I hope we really like him. I hope that Thad is able to land that job. There's a lot to it because you want, as a general manager, that would be one of the jobs where you go and you kind of have control, and that's what
Well, you're at a position with that team where you can come in and say, "This is how we're going to build it."
Yep.
Can't get much worse than we were this year, so why not try it my way with player development and things like that?
Yep. Very good. More coming up as we talk about whoever the next manager is. What are the greatest challenges? That's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And just because the weather is cooling off does not mean you're allowed to forget about your hygiene. Mando is the place to go for all things hygienic. You need them, and they're more than just sort of keeping you from sweating or stinking. Mando, with their packages, their various products they have, help you smell good, not just not smell bad, but you get to smell good with Mando. Love the product. I may not. I still will use it on the feet. I don't want you to ever forget your feet. You got to use the creams and the wipes and the cooling powders on your feet too. Those will stink on you. And mine always sweat, Jeff, even in the winter. So don't forget your feet.
TMI.
Don't forget. Yeah, sorry. Don't forget your feet, and don't forget the Mando deal we've got. $5 off the starter pack with the code DLLS at Mando.
Now that it is officially the end of the Rangers season, I can really divert my attention to what I think is probably my first sports love, college football.
Yep.
I love it. I used to like going to games. Now that I'm spoiled by press boxes, I don't so much like to sit around with people. But I do enjoy college football more than anything, and I will take my son to a game where we'll sit in the stands. Just let him bring it in, especially now that he's a football player. 7th grade, first year playing football, he might be able to see more than he has in the past. Anywho, Game Time. That's where we're going to get our tickets. And download the app there, Game Time app. Use the code DLS. Get $20 off your first purchase. You get all-in pricing. You get a view of the seats you're going to buy. And it's just, as we think, the best way to get tickets on the secondary market. That's the Game Time app.
Great place to go. We appreciate you. We appreciate Game Time. I sat with my daughter at a couple of games when she was at Arkansas in the stands, to your point. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
It's gonna challenge you.
I've been ruined.
I do remember too, one time my son, it was way back when my son was in, like Little League. And he said, and he's with his team. He said, "Dad, we're going to go with my team and we're going to sit in the stands. I don't want to go in a suite this time. I don't want to do what you usually do when we're here." I'm like, "No problem, buddy. We'll go sit in the stands." And it was a day game at Globe Life Park, across the street with no roof and no air conditioning. And of course, the Little League team seats were quite high up.
Right.
And about the second inning, he looks at me and says, "Dad, can we go get in a suite?" I said, "Yeah, let's go. I'm dying up here." So, anyway, yeah, we're spoiled. We get it. So the manager's greatest challenge is really pretty obvious. Biggest, bestest, foremost challenge to right this offensive ship. It's not the only one, but that's the big one.
That is correct. And Chris Young the other day in discussing, kind of a similar question. What is this? What has to happen? He goes, "Oh, we got to fix our offense."
Yeah,
that's hard to dispute. And today I did a little something on our website. Candidates, just again, we're just throwing darts at this point. But I listed Derek Shelton, and I think I'd mentioned him yesterday.
You did, yeah. I looked at I saw your story, and we had talked about each of those guys, but I liked it. You gave a little in-depth blurb about it.
He was a hitting coach before he became this bench coach and managerial candidate. The Rangers interviewed him in 2018. The job that went to Chris Woodward Rocco Baldelli interviewed for the job before landing the Twins job and then turning the Twins into a 101 win team. Jace Tingler, I believe, interviewed for that job that time around. It seemed like they interviewed 1,000 people, as I recall.
The Twins?
No, the Rangers.
The Rangers. Oh, Jace interviewed here?
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
And then they didn't settle on anybody until, after the first of the year. But an offensive-minded guy, and that's Brett Boone. I know we talked about him yesterday or the day before about how he said he wants to continue with coaching and how he probably has higher aspirations. He was an offensive force at times in his career, and he's probably in these last 5 months of the season was able to at least drive home his points and what he wants the offense to look like. So yeah, maybe somebody with some offensive pedigree, some player development pedigree. When you talk about Shelton and Baldelli, or just their backgrounds, Shelton, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, where he managed, and then Baldelli as a player for Tampa Bay, and then managing the Twins. Not very big budgets, and they have to have a lot of player development come through. So some familiarity with young players and things like that. I put Ron Washington on the list because we like Wash.
We like Wash, and he's in the chat. And do we feel like Wash would be a real candidate? I don't know. I mean, obviously, it wasn't CY that hired or ultimately fired Wash, right? It was John Daniels, who was blown away by him in the interview process. It seemed like an unlikely hire at the time, and what a great hire it was. So it would be interesting to see. He still has lots of friends within this organization, but then somebody does mention, his health. Tony mentions his health, and it would be a big concern. And I don't know that you can. I don't know that any of us, Wash is going to say, I'm fine. But I don't know that any of us can know that, and I don't know that you can invest in that with that amount of uncertainty. It's just hard.
Yeah. And maybe if he was 53 and not 73.
Yes, that's right.
So anyway, I would love to see that happen, of course, but we'll see. I hope he's in the game somewhere. Maybe, if he doesn't get a job, bring him as like a special instructor, bring him to camp and let him work with guys, who just Ron Washington, just being around him.
Yeah.
Just feel better.
Yeah.
He's such a positive guy. Obviously biased, but
no, but he's also
okay.
He's always got a smile on his face. He's he just really enjoys life. And that's and he's so honest, so it's cool. But that's the first thing is offense, and yes, I think that it starts with an offensively minded manager would really help. And then, again, would Brett Boone stick around for another year as the hitting coach under a different manager? I don't know. That's all up in the air too. And, would he have an opportunity elsewhere to be a manager? I wouldn't think so after less than a full season as his only coaching experience.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the family, like we talked about yesterday. He's from a baseball family, has a lot of friends in the game, had the podcast, so he's up on the current events and the state of the game.
Sure.
I mean, it feels long shotish, but I don't know. I would say that if he's going to get a job, it would be here. That would be that.
Sure.
That would be the only job, just because they've worked with him for a year and know what he likes, what he's like, and that he would understand the job.
Sure. Yep. 100%. That was, then that's certainly a consideration, a possibility. I thought I saw CY and Brett Boone have a lot of heart to hearts over the course of the time he was here. And, excuse me. That may be just because he's the hitting coach, right? We've still got to, get our thoughts together on that. But I didn't know if there was more to it. It appeared to me that maybe there was at times.
But having gotten to know Brett a little bit, I think he doesn't take any conversation lightly. He digs
No.
in. When you talk to him, he's involved.
Yep.
So,
And how about Leon off the coast of Italy?
wow.
8:23 p.m. We appreciate you checking us out from Italy, Leon. I don't know if off the coast of Italy is actually Italy. Maybe you're in international waters.
I don't know.
Who knows?
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. So, but glad to have you along, even though you're.
Spread the word in Italy.
Yeah,
a lot of Rangers fans out there.
Let all those Rangers fans.
Especially if they hire Mark DeRosa. Isn't that an Italian name?
He's got to be Italian.
Hey-o.
Yeah,
All right.
let all those people know that we're here, and at 8 o'clock, pretty much every night, apparently over there,
Yeah.
you can
We're
just
on.
tune in.
Plate
We're-
of pasta. and
We're prime time in Italy. You see what I'm saying?
big time.
Yeah,
Big
we're
time.
prime time in Italy.
A couple quick questions. Dylan Jester, would you label Skip as the favorite? Yes,
Absolutely.
I would label him as the favorite. Hope to have more insight tomorrow, though. If have they already conducted some interviews? That's possible. Maybe they interviewed some of their guys before they went home. Maybe some internal guys before they headed back to their houses, their full-time homes,
Sure.
their residences. And maybe they knocked a couple out of the way. But we'll find out tomorrow, and if there's a plan and that. I would note that the 2022 season, which was delayed by the lockout, ended on October 5th.
Okay.
Bruce Bochy was hired on October 21st.
Okay.
So that's quick, 16 days. So what are we at now? 4?
Right.
All right. 12 more to go.
12 more, and maybe
let's hit the under on that.
again, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe, but maybe, and I get what you're saying. I believe there's a list, but maybe they don't feel like they'll interview Skip, and they don't feel like they need to interview anybody else. I mean, I feel like they needed to owed it to Tony Beasley to interview him. He had served as the interim, right, and done a good job, and so they owed it to him to do that. But there's nobody in that position this year where they feel like we owe them an opportunity to have an interview. So yeah, we'll see if they don't have to interview anybody else. Maybe it doesn't take 16 days this time.
Yeah. And I don't know if I probably should know. I guess MLB has a Rooney rule. I think it's where you have to interview a minority candidate. So, Tony knocked out that one too, but he also, deserved the chance.
Sure, 100%.
So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it won't take him long. We discussed that in the first segment. He is a very prepared guy. He uses that Princeton background education and big brain to his advantage very well, and he knows that preparation and sort of homework and doing those things that you need to do to have your ducks in a row are very important. It was also a lesson that translated very well to baseball, right, with game plans and as a pitcher, knowing the hitters and all those kinds of things. So CY does not go into a situation unprepared. There aren't many surprises for him in a situation like this.
Yeah. What's the John Wooden quote? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yes.
A failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, CY's going to be ready.
Yep. CY's all set on this one. When we come back on the DLLS Rangers podcast, let's talk about these playoffs today. It's a somewhat historic day in baseball today, which is always fun, especially in October. Yeah, it'd be a little more fun if the Rangers were a part of it, but history is history, and we talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, man, if you haven't taken a part of the Diehard takeover with the Dallas Stars, too late. Sold out, man. It's sold out because we put it on our Discord first, and the Diehards who are on the Discord had the first opportunity to buy tickets to that Dallas Stars takeover. And it sold out. I think it sold out essentially, from what the skipper said, it sold out essentially before it really became public. So that's how quickly you have to act, I should say, for something like that. We're going to do them for all our sports. Baseball, Ben told us, is happening next year. So the whole point is, it makes so much sense to become a diehard. Otherwise, you're going to miss the opportunity to do something like that. We've got a diehard sale going on right now. So why don't you just do yourself a favor and become a damn diehard?
Yeah. And also, while you're signing up for stuff, go on over to the YouTube channel where you guys are right now and become a member of our supporters club. 2 levels, 5 and 15. You get these emojis. You get a badge, and John, our diehard cards are pretty nice.
They are. They're gold.
They're
Looks
really
like a
nice.
gold card.
Yeah, and so anyway, and we need to do one of these here soon.
Yes, we do.
Need to knock one of those out. Maybe we can do that tomorrow after our show. After the
We've gotten a lot of information from the. Yeah,
have some fresh stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is what you should do because it's behind the scenes stuff, and it's stuff that is behind, kind of a YouTube paywall that you can only get from us. Okay. Jesse Hawley telling some stories, so that's going to be good. Supporters Club, let's do it.
So these playoffs are already fun. They're somewhat historic. We've only had Jeff Passan pointed out it's only the second time in baseball history. Remember, baseball history dates back to the 1800s. Second time in baseball history, there are 3 deciding games the same day. Now, for a long time in baseball history, there were never 3 deciding games because there were only 2 teams to decide. That said, been deciding games for a long time. 3 deciding games today. 3 winner-take-all type games today.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
It is. I'm glad it's worked out this way too, because there's some interesting storylines in these. You have the Tigers and the Guardians, and how that all unfolded late in September. It was like a real important game for both of them to go home. And you have the Cubs who are facing the Padres, and the Padres are pitching Yu Darvish.
Yeah,
who the Rangers brought from Japan, and then he went to the Cubs and had a terrible first year and then got better, but then they traded him. And then in the night game, you have the Red Sox and the Yankees. And the guy who's starting for the Yankees, he's 23, so he's the youngest Boston pitcher to start a playoff game since 1916, and a fella named Babe Ruth. Also, and this is pretty funny, I guess it's his 3rd career start. It'll be his first start in an MLB stadium.
Right.
Because he started at Sacramento and Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Which is nuts. And so now it's in this huge game in New York.
Yeah.
Huge rivalry situation.
Yeah, the kids early, right?
Early,
yeah. And by the way, in Yankee Stadium, not just a stadium.
Right.
But in Yankee Stadium. But both pitchers in that game tonight, the Red Sox, Yankees, both pitchers are rookies. And the kid early from, I think it's Connolly early. Connolly early from the Red Sox is another baseball history, the first ever to start a winner-take-all game in Major League Baseball history within the first 30 days of his debut.
Wow. Yeah.
He debuted less than 30 days ago. I was talking to John Anderson about this upstairs. I'm like, I hope that Connolly early has a big set of wahinis, as we say, because I don't know if am I allowed to say balls? Oh, I am, because Mando lets us.
Mando.
I hope he has
Brought to you by balls. Brought to you by Mando.
Yeah, big set of balls, because it's not easy. It is no look. It's cats over here. What the hell? I've got like 2 14-year-olds doing this show with
balls.
Me. But anyway,
bolas.
All right, bolas,
Espanol. Huevos.
Yeah, huevos. Yeah. Anyway,
onions.
But the Yankees starter is also a rookie.
Who is it? Schlittler?
Schlittler, yeah.
Schlitter. You got to be careful of that one.
Yeah, boy, you do. We could get caught for swearing on that one, too.
You don't want to do that.
God's sake. So, Anyway, it's the Red Sox and the Yankees. I was by the channel at the end last night. I didn't stay for the whole Dodgers game, but I was by the channel at the end of the Red Sox Yankees when Bednar comes out there. Yeah.
That was a good end.
Yeah,
I was at baseball practice.
You were still at practice.
I was unable to, watch the end of the
obviously
Yankees.
you practice under the lights, then, don't you?
A little under the lights. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
But the Yankees bullpen has been so dreadful all year, really. And so a 4-3 game, they had a chance to extend the lead and get some insurance in their half of the 8th inning, and they didn't do it. But a 4-3 lead in the 9th inning with Bednar out there ain't a given in this incantation of the New York Yankees, Jeff.
Well, I like Bednar because he helped me to a third place finish in my fantasy league.
Okay,
but
is that in the money?
Oh yeah.
Oh good.
But he it can be a little bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
With him and and the Yankees bullpen, they got Devin Williams in the offseason to be the man, and he ended up getting the win last night.
Yeah.
But in the 8th inning, not as the closer. Hey, how about Devin Williams coming to the Rangers?
Right.
Who's for that?
I'm for it.
I'm going to raise my hand.
Absolutely for it. And by the way, in that game, the Yankees broke the tie, I think. Is that right, Kat? When Jazz Chisholm scored from first.
Crazy running. Yeah.
Crazy.
He ran his little heart out.
Yeah, he did. And he was going on it was a full count pitch. He was going on the play. But man, he just didn't stop. And then a great slide, the perfect kind of slide. So that was super exciting. But here's the thing I noticed. The first person up out of the dugout with a smile and, just jubilation, their best player, Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And I don't know, I'm not saying that's what Corey Seager and Marcus Semien have to do, but I wouldn't mind it being them instead of, love them to death, but Austin Hedges, like, who's he, right? If you're not a big fan. So anyway, and then I noticed how excited that Aaron Judge got at the end of that game. He caught the final out there in right field, and he was just really pumped up, and I just think that maybe that's another thing we have to continue to talk about with the Rangers in this offseason is that whole chemistry piece. But anyway, that's just something I noticed. Like you're allowed to, as the best player, still be demonstrative.
That RBI single was like so close to the foul line. It was, it was just perfect.
Yeah, it was great. It was exciting. That Detroit-Cleveland game that Jeff mentioned, that's the first one today. So you got, the Tigers and the Guardians coming, I think, at 2 our time. So that starts in 20 minutes. And then the Padres and Cubs game starts at 5. And then the Red Sox-Yankees starts at 7, I think, our time. So, but that Tigers-Cleveland game, so this is a pretty interesting thing because they played each other a lot at the end of the season, which I do like better, incidentally. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, last week, and the week before.
That's really funny.
Right? They played each other. And 3 Tuesdays in a row, Tarek Skubal faced the Guardians.
Wow.
3 Tuesdays in a row, Casey Mize faced the Guardians. 3 Wednesdays for Mize. 3 Thursdays for Flaherty. He has faced the Guardians. He had allowed 1 run 2 weeks ago. He allowed 3 runs last Thursday. See what he does today. 3 runs on 5 hits. I mean, he only allowed 1 run in 2 weeks ago. I mean, he did what you're supposed to do, which is to say, gave his team a chance to win.
Give your team a chance.
Tigers just can't hit. They were 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position yesterday, Jeff.
That's not great.
They left 15 runners on base.
Well, we were watching before the show, and the first 2 guys reached on balls that really were in the defender's gloves, and they were unable to take advantage of that. That's a big deal.
It is, and I actually noticed this when we were watching, and then saw it replayed a bunch on socials. But Bybee, their starter, went over to DeLauder, who lost that ball in the sun, and he lost it, but he actually had it in his glove,
right,
and then it dropped out. And the Tigers, as Jeff said, got 2 runners on, really based on 2 bad defensive plays. But Bobby went over to the kid, DeLauder, and just really calmed him down and joked with him. Said, "Man, it's okay," and it really was okay.
Yeah,
because they didn't score off of it anyway. But he knew, Bobby knew that could have an effect, on a mental state of a young player like DeLauder, who just made his major league debut.
Yeah, that's a hell of a spot for him too.
Yeah, it really is. So anyway, that's cool. That's fun. That Cubs game, as Jeff mentioned, will feature Yu Darvish, and surprisingly, of all 6 pitchers in today's games, in today's elimination games, Jeff. Yu Darvish has the highest ERA, up over 4.
Yeah.
And he's 5-5, and he's not going as deep, and he's getting old.
He is. He is getting older. He was hurt most of the year. Didn't pitch until the second half. He had some nice ones in there, but he also had some kind of wonky ones, obviously, if you have a 5.38 ERA. But I like you. I like you a lot. Good guy. And so I think I will pull for Yu Darvish.
You'll be pulling for the Padres and Yu Darvish. We still like their general manager, AJ Preller, too. Like him a lot as well. So the Cubs have also been offensively challenged. Yesterday's game, I think, was 3-0. They didn't score any runs.
Yeah.
The day before, I think they won 3-1. So they're not scoring a bunch of runs. And between them, Ian Happ and Pete Crow Armstrong, who's you talk about a little savior, Jeff.
Yeah,
He's the little savior of that team. Between the two of them, Happ and Crow Armstrong, 0 for 14 in the first 2 games.
Oof.
Yeah, got to get a hit.
That'll lose you a series right there.
Got to get a hit. So, and then there are 3 game 3s in this wild card round today. In the 3 previous years, so 22, 23, and 24, there have only been 4 game 3s. So, it's and still no team that lost game 1 has advanced.
Well, that could change.
Could change today. It could change 3 times today.
It could.
Yeah, the Tigers, if they advance, break that. The Yankees, if they advance, break that. And I guess the Cubs. No, the Padres. No, the Cubs. Yeah, the Cubs break that, right?
Padres won game 1. Or the Padres lost game 1.
Okay, all right. So anyway, that's kind of cool. Another anomaly about this whole series. So the playoffs are set. They're going. It's kind of cool. Shohei Ohtani is set to pitch in game 1 now.
I saw that.
Of the National League Divisional Series after the Dodgers sweep the Reds last night. And the Reds got a couple of runs in the first inning in that one.
Yes.
Poor defensive play. I mean, there were 2 outs. And of all people, Teoscar Hernandez let one just kind of link off of the outside of his glove.
Interesting.
And amazingly, the Reds score a couple, but it was like one of those games where you were pretty dang sure that wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah. It's I get, remember the Lakers teams there with Shaq and Kobe, and they'd kind of piss around in the regular season.
Yeah.
And boom, turn it on.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feeling it got
you
here.
kind of do
with
I
the
know.
Dodgers. They just beat the crap out of the Reds.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they demoralized them in game 1, and really game 2 was they toyed with them a little bit, but game 2 was pretty much a thing. Pretty much an easy thing as well. So I did like after the game, and I found myself. I know from his days here, and of course his days in Boston. I know Terry Francona, and I liked his comments. He's like, "Hey, we're not even close to being where we're going to be, right? We're not a finished product. We're going to keep doing this." He said, "I love the way this group competed," and there was the whole controversy that both guys, Hunter Green and last night's starter, were tipping their pitches the whole time.
Well, there's no doubt that scouts look at that for that stuff, and I would not be surprised if that were the case. And it's can win you games, and in a very vital part of the year. I mean, these teams get scouted for so long.
Yeah.
And whether even if you're, as a lot of teams have done, even if they've cut back on their actual scouting departments and just most of it video now, you can still pick that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's nothing like being at the game. Glad that the Rangers still believe in that. So do other clubs. Get your own eyes on there. Baseball guys who know what they're looking for, stuff like that. Anyway, I'm pro scout.
Yeah, me too. I like scouting. I like preparing. I like game plans. And, right now we know the Rangers have a plan. More on that coming. But also our cleanup segment is coming up next as we clean up this day in baseball on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Hey, John, did you get your order yet from oh, hey, that's new?
New one.
Nice.
I never had this one.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm up to 16.
Oh, shoot. You might have passed me by.
How about that?
At least in the T-shirt department.
Yeah. I'm never going to pass you in the hat department.
Well, you're not going to get one.
I might get the branded bills one.
Okay.
I probably won't get the other ones once they're available. Branded bills a nice, awfully nice cap.
Yeah. Anyway, John and I are wearing T-shirts, stored at allcitynetwork.com. We told you how great they are. They're sweatshirts too, and I swear at some point it'll be sweatshirt weather, and I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Really, I would take some DLLS pants. They had them, some joggers. Maybe we can get that arranged.
We'd love to have
a
the
specialty jogger for me.
polos too.
Polos and pullovers.
Yeah.
Anyway, go to store.allcitynetwork.com, and if you're a diehard, you get 20% off, which is big. And look, if you want to be a diehard,
yeah,
John alluded to it in our last ad break. These are the deals he's talking about. You can get the hat and 1 year for $59. You can go to just the regular sale, our go-to sale, $36 for 1 year. That's $3 a month. I think the other one's $5 a month, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And you can still get a free T-shirt like the Texas Chew one, which is probably, I think, the best baseball shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Nolan Ryan one's pretty cool, but that's kind of the Dallas collection.
Yeah.
I really like Texas Chew.
Yeah. Great color.
Yeah.
Great color scheme.
100%.
Yeah.
And so, and like John was saying, if you're a diehard, you can get into the Discord. You can get early access to our events. You can, like the Stars Takeover, you can get 20% off of those things. It's such a great deal. And again, all this Rangers news that's a coming. You need to be a diehard.
Absolutely do. We encourage you to do that. And we're going to run through a few things happening in the world of baseball today. First, Bruce Bochy is not a candidate, Jeff, in San Francisco, according to Buster Posey. Buster and he have talked, and Buster is willing to have Boch back in the organization in some capacity. However, they won't be discussing the possibility of Bruce Bochy being the manager of the Giants, which makes me feel a little bit bad for Boch because, first of all, I don't think he cares at all about any of those, front office positions.
Right.
He wanted to manage.
Yeah, I think he does want to manage. Where's the right fit for him?
Is there one? Yeah.
Is there one of these openings? Now if he were to retire, and not manage again, there's the potential that he could join the Hall of Fame in the class of 2027 with Dusty Baker and Buster Posey. It would be like an all-time Giants induction ceremony,
right?
It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think Boch, he was talking about how much fun he was having just the other day.
Agreed.
And
yeah. In fact, he said when he came back to the Rangers, and obviously the first year they won the World Series, so that can sort of accelerate your feeling a little bit. But he said he's had more fun since he came back than he ever did prior to leaving. That also may simply be because he was out of it for 3 years.
Right.
And bored out of his mind and didn't want to be there. And, told the famous story about watching Mick Jagger prance around on stage and when he went to a Rolling Stones concert going, that guy's 81. I'm in my late 60s. Why do I have to retire? You know? And so, but again, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as the old saying goes. He was absent from the game for 3 years. And once he got back to it, he was reminded quickly about how much he loves it. So, yeah, just because the Giants aren't interested, I don't think that means that Bruce Bochy won't have another opportunity.
Right.
With all these openings.
Yeah, and maybe Baltimore's not far from Nashville. Atlanta's not far from Nashville at all. So maybe there's something there. I don't know, but he also doesn't want to go manage the Rockies. I think you can bet on that one. So we'll see what happens with Boch, but I hope if he does take a front office job, it's the one here so that we can still see him.
Right.
But I want the guy to be happy, and if that means going to manage somewhere else, then more power to him.
More power to him. He doesn't have to ride off into the sunset yet, at least not if he doesn't want to. A really cool story from Chicago yesterday, even though the Cubs lost. Ian Happ brought a young man to the game, a young man named David Rosner. David is a kid who's just gone through so much in his young life. 5 years ago, when he was 7, his dad died of cancer. In the last 3 years, his mom has been battling breast cancer, and Ian met this young man, David, at a baseball camp.
Okay.
And Ian lost his dad at a young age to cancer. So his foundation is all about helping people who are in that situation. Ian can relate so well. So he got tickets for the guy who came to the game with his uncle, and they had great seats, of course, that were gotten by Ian's foundation. Ian even went so far as to write the note for David at school.
Oh my gosh.
David had to miss the day of school today because I gave him tickets to the Cubs, a Padres game. Sincerely, Ian Happ.
That's pretty cool.
Is that cool? I love that. And that's one of those stories that supersedes baseball, and it supersedes all this other stuff. So really, really good on you, Ian Happ. But I know Cubs fans are thinking, yeah, great story. Get a damn hit, because he's 0 for 7-ish in the series so far. Brewers scrimmaged yesterday.
Which is Mariners.
Which isn't surprising. Those are the only two that I saw that scrimmaged, but I have to think all the bye teams are scrimmaging. I think you'd be foolish not to.
Sure.
But so the Brewers scrimmage, the bullpen coach was the umpire.
Oh.
And they also had the ABS system up and running in the stadium. And every time the bullpen coach missed a call, as you can imagine, the pitchers were gathered around, and they were giving him so much grief.
That's awesome.
If he missed a call. And it probably does make you realize pretty quickly what a tough job those umpires have.
Sure.
It ain't easy.
No, it's easy from where we sit.
Well, and it's easy for, if you're watching on TV and you've got a little square to help you, right? Back in the day, it was even harder. I would think a lot of times before we had the square, just watching on TV even, or certainly in the stadium, that's a strike. And then if you went back and looked at a replay, maybe it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
And the umpires were and are generally very right in those situations. So that was kind of a fun thing. And then, so the Seattle scrimmage happens, and they actually put up lineup cards for the split squad scrimmage. And one of the names on there was Ichiro. Ichiro.
That's pretty fantastic.
At 51 years old, Ichiro was out there playing as a part of this scrimmage. There is nobody, I think, in the history of this game, Jeff, that likes this game more than Ichiro.
Yeah, maybe, Ernie Banks,
Maybe, yeah.
But he's still in such great shape. I'm sure he did something good.
Oh, he probably did. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Cal Raleigh homered. I know that.
Yeah. I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And I guess at some point, I'm not familiar with Julio Rodriguez's celebration, but apparently it's something like this.
Yeah.
And at some point, Ichiro did do something well, and he flashed the Julio Rodriguez celebration symbol. So everybody got a kick out of that. So anyway, that's that. Let's. Are there questions that we haven't gotten to?
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's take a look and see what we've got on there. If there's anything.
Yeah, Natalie asked about catching because she's not sure that Kyle Higashioka is a starting catcher, and I'm with you on that. And it'll take some money if you want to hire a full-time guy, and then but I just think where the Rangers are right now, they're gonna try to get a lot of things done with trades. Now, of course, they don't have a great farm system right now, but I would love to see some trades made. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if you ever want somebody who's disgruntled. I saw somebody say that about Nick Castellanos. I don't know if you want a disgruntled guy. You want a guy. The change of scenery, I get it, but I want a guy who doesn't need a change of scenery.
Right.
So I don't know. There are catchers out there. I saw Dalton Rushing was mentioned.
Yeah, I
with
saw that too.
with the Dodgers, their young catching prospect with Will Smith all locked up, and maybe one of the better catchers in the game. Don't see Dalton Rushing breaking into that starting lineup anytime soon. So there are ways to go about it, I think, but the full expectation is there will be changes at catcher this offseason.
When was the last time Higashioka was he ever the starting catcher in New York?
I don't think he's ever had more than like 80 games.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
he's
really
never been a full-time guy.
Yeah, never been a full-time guy. So, and of course, he wasn't in that role, although he did so well offensively last year when he got traded to San Diego.
Very good.
But
Yeah,
that's what really got the Rangers' attention on him. I think was that they would also appreciate a catcher who had some offense. So
yeah, and he's a veteran guy, so he knows his way around. They think he's good defensively. I know he was kind of banged up this year. Maybe we didn't see the full effect of Kyle Higashioka, but he played in 94 games, and I think some of that was a designated hitter. 92 is his previous career high, 84 last year. So he's gone the last 4 seasons, 83, 92, 84, and 94. But let's check out real quick, Lag. When did he standard fielding? So he had 22 games at designated.
this year, okay.
So 68 games at catcher, 16 at DH. I guess he started 22 games at DH and then moved to catcher in some of those games.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, okay. And I wonder, is that his high for number of games as a DH?
Oh yeah, it's not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That
but
tells you
again,
what the Rangers' offense was.
right, and part of the reason for that is that Boch is not afraid though to
Put them both in.
have
both
the
catchers,
catcher
yeah.
and another catcher in as a designated hitter, and come what may, and generally it didn't come back to bite him. What else we got?
Malcolm Moore, tired of the revolving door at catcher. Scat Pack. He's going to the fall league, and that starts on the 7th. Today's the 7th. Pretty soon, right?
Yeah, today's the 2nd, so it's 5 days.
All right. So this sounds like maybe Monday,
Yeah, no, yeah,
Tuesday, whatever.
yeah,
Well, what's today? Thursday.
yeah.
So it'll start on Tuesday.
Not bad. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty good, pretty loaded group there. For the old Rangers in surprise with Moore, Walcott, and then Corniel and Teodo and Santos.
Yeah,
That's like 5 of their probably top 15 prospects.
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
even 5 of their top 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We need to.
Yeah.
How about a trip?
Hey,
Go.
tell you
Surprise. Here we come. We're still working hard on the Arizona thing for next spring, too, by the way. So more on that in the days and weeks ahead. Lots of baseball this afternoon, though. Hope you're able to hang out and watch a little bit of it like we will be. Jeff may have practice again, though. You got practice today?
No.
No practice?
No practice.
Okay.
Well, they have lessons.
Okay.
But not practice.
All right. Baseball all day. Historic day in baseball. We're back tomorrow to talk about that, but more importantly, to talk about what we hear from Chris Young and probably Ross Fenstermaker about the season that was and the search that is. That'll all be tomorrow when we join you again on another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.